Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on common permit to work challenges and how software solves them. With me today is Steve McBride, CEO and co-founder of Weaver, and I am Andy Pritchard, Director of Strategy and Marketing at Weaver. So our agenda today is to talk a little bit about Weaver, take 5 minutes, and then address work permit systems, how they work, and then get into the core challenges of how they work and how they're solved through digitization. I've got a quick live demonstration for you, and then we can spend a little bit of time at the end, a couple minutes for questions and answers. So with that, I'll hand it over to Steve.
Great, thanks, Andy. Yeah, a big part of basically all of our software, not just permit to work, is digitization. So, working a lot smarter with digitization rather than through paper and Excel spreadsheets. So basically, our platform empowers teams to achieve operational excellence, is what we say, and how that, first and foremost is real-time visibility. So what we mean by that is, having paper and Excel spreadsheets with any documentation does not give you anything close to real-time visibility. So now you can see at a glance where everything's at, who's on it, where the project stands. So if you're doing a permit to work and approvals, you may not even be at the site and you need to do an approval. So with paper, you wouldn't be able to do that. Digitally, you can do it very, very easily. So obviously it creates some speed and productivity. Employees are more engaged rather than shuffling through papers. Just pick up a tablet or a phone and can easily fill it out. Obviously, there's a lot of efficiency and cost savings around digitizing the process, and sustained organizational growth as well. Having that those documentations digitized allows you to get to them much quicker. Um, even after the job's done for compliance reasons and things like that. So, what Weaver does is we really automate critical processes. So you can look at, digital data capture, workflow management, and real-time reporting. So in the digital data capture, um, we're talking a big part of it is guiding staff through the process. So if you have turnover in staff, you have new staff, training is a big part of what you need to do with them. Having a digital process allows you to guide them through it much easier. And then workflow management. So we can automate the workflow. So there's no more filling out a piece of paper and passing it to somebody and starting a workflow now. It can be automatically started by what you choose in the digital form. And then we ensure tasks and follow-ups are done on time and done right because you have really good visibility of that. We can have reminder emails and things like that as well. And then on the real-time reporting, automatically updating graphs. So you can build your graphs and charts ahead of time. And every time somebody inputs into a form field, those charts and graphs can be updated in real time. So supervisors and managers can have the data immediately. And we digitize all operational processes. So there's just 20 or 30 examples here, but kind of the basic buckets we work under: safety maintenance, quality compliance, and continuous improvement. And you can see just a plethora of forms that our customers have digitized using our software. Here's just a few of our clients, and we've kind of shown them in buckets. So majority of our clients are manufacturing, but we also have construction, field services, warehousing, and healthcare clients as well. We deal mostly with larger customers that have multiple locations, but we also have some smaller clients as well with only one or two locations. And what our customers are saying about us. So we have a really tight customer base. Our customer success team works really close with our customers to make sure that they are successful once they launch our software. So our customer success team will train our new clients on the software, find out what their goals are for digitizing their processes, and then help them achieve those goals. And through that, we've had some very positive feedback. Like Ingrid, a factory director, she mentioned that Weaver's changed how she runs her business. Um, immediate insights into our business, workers on the line. It makes my job easier, accessible to everybody in real time, things like that. So our customers are pretty fanatical about Weaver and the software that we provide. So what are work permits? Some people call them work permits. Some people call them permit to work. So a permit to work system, basically, it's a formal documented system. So it's used to control high risk, non standardized activities. So if you think about working at heights, confined spaces, being around radiology, electrical, things like that. It's to make sure that there's a process in place and it's followed all the way through. So there's a process. Usually, there's a summary of what the work is going to be, and then some type of approval system, and then closing out the process. So, if we look at why are they important? Number one for sure is worker safety. Number two is compliance. Compliance is in place for worker safety as well, but you need to follow certain guidelines to be within, maybe local, regional, or vertical regulations like FDA and things like that. And then three is improve the likelihood of being completed correctly, because whatever that job is, we want it done correctly. So the basic steps. So step one really is putting the process together. So you're setting up a system, setting up what the data flow is going to be and what the reporting looks like, what type of compliance you're going to have, and then making sure that people are trained on that process. Two is actually getting into the work permit. So you need a permit for something. There's usually a permit owner. There's a scope of work, and there's an assessment done of what are the emergency situations that are likely to occur, and how can we prevent them, and if it does happen, how are we going to handle it. Then the third part is getting the approvals. So reviewing all of the information in step two and getting the different sets of approvals depending on your company. And then four is executing the work. So actually carrying out that, cutting with torches or working on a ladder or down in a hole in a confined space. And then the finishing of that is closing out the permit. So common challenges and how software can solve them.
Thanks, Steve. So the first challenge that we've identified that our customers talk to us about is this concept of real-time visibility. Paper forms and spreadsheets just don't allow for you to keep track of projects and activity as they go along the workflows. The reason why is obvious. Paper forms are physical things that can only be in one place at one time. The challenge really for work permits is that situations can change after approval, and it's very advantageous to know where the project's at, who's working on it, and details like that. Um, if you don't have that information, it can create problems down the line. Also, without real-time visibility, you can encounter some accountability issues as well. So, staff members or project managers sort of pencil whipping or just not really paying respect to the process and not being accountable to the process. So how software solves that is the solution is that software provides is automating real-time updates and communications. So allowing for these notifications and alerts that make stakeholders aware of revisions, real-time updates on project status, enabling real-time communication as well. So when somebody is working on the project on their tablet while they're there, they can receive messages. Software also helps to guide and instruct, which helps to overcome the accountability issues and ensures successful outcomes. The second challenge that we found is time and cost. When you're working with paper, it's inherently inefficient. It can be very time consuming to manage that data, to continue to re-input that data or input that data manually into reports. And in almost every case, that information is going to be digitized at some point anyway. So why not use a digitized system to collect the data in the first place? Transportation between approvers and especially with field operations can be timely and expensive, and this can all cause unnecessary delays and increased project costs. So obviously, how digitized digitized solutions solve this is by outsourcing some of those mundane administrative tasks to software. So you automate the workflows and reporting administration, and you can free up time to do for people to do the real work. The third challenge that we've encountered that software solves is this concept of mistakes, errors, omissions. Paper forms can be incomplete, illegible, or hard to discern. Um, they're they're breeding ground and for errors and omissions to occur, which can require a lot of back and forth between staff, supervisors, and administrators, and result in poor data, which can create issues and have issues be missed, and also problems with regulatory compliance. So those are sort of the main. Oh, sorry. And then the solution to that is obviously this digitizing your solution, digitizing with software. Uh, so that you can add rules and functionality that reduce the chance of errors. Things like required fields, drop-down menus, conditional logic, on-demand video instruction, and so on. So that's a nice lead into the demonstration that we have for you. It's about 2 minutes where I can take you through a customer form that has been updated. How do I move this? There we go. So if I go to forms, I can view the forms as in folders, or I can go to all forms and search. If I go to work permits, I can see all the different work permit templates we have. We have hundreds of templated forms for you to use to get started. The working at heights template starts with handy. If you have any questions, give John Daniels a call. You can obviously change that to a real person, and then ask the staff member if they want a quick refresher or overview or a little bit of instructions about the specific work permit. We can also add conditional logic as well to ask for the different types of work permits if you want, or specifics around the working at height work permit, so that you can change the conditions that are further down in the form. The person clicks yes, they get a nice overview of what they're doing here. If they select no, then don't worry about it. Collects date and permit, the proposed date of work. You can add multiple people that will be involved, a summary description, the line and work area as well, so wherever the information is going to be. And then you can simply pass or fail any of these conditions that are added to the work permit. We can structure this however you want. This is one way to do it. So if any of the above fails, so this one fails, you can add additional information about the danger and the proposed plan to sort of work around or to mitigate that risk. And then you can add a sketch if you like and add photos. And in this case, the working at heights work permit asks for the fall restraint system that you may or may not be using. Once the permit is ready for review, you can mark it as completed and ready for review. So that will automatically email the supervisor who will find the work permit in progress. And then they can, in the in progress section, assign to them, and they can come in here and begin the evaluation. So when they begin the evaluation, they can evaluate the assessment. They can actually change information in here if you wish, or you can add additional fields, say in here to that use conditional logic to show, revisions or notes, so that you're not changing the additional information, and then they can sign to to complete the evaluation process. You can add multiple approvals. You can add workflows to the approval process, and basically collect all the information that you want. So when this is submitted, it's available and in progress as well as in form reports. I can just come in here and look under work permits and view the ticket that we just created. Now I have a handy PDF that I can download or email to somebody. I can print it out and add it to the work site if I want to. There's a lot of different options here. I can also assign this to the permit holder instead of the permit owner. So if they're different people, so if I have completed this, but Alma is actually going to do the work, I can tell her when I want the work to be completed and add comments. And so, the workflow can be managed in this way. We can also edit the form right here and add additional information. And all of this information is captured when the project is closed. I can simply go back to it and close, or say work started, closed, and provide a reason for the closure. And then all of this information is captured in form reports. Um, I'll just search for working at height, and you can see there's only been 2 submissions currently. And we can also create KPI graph and table information as well. So that's a quick overview of how software can be used to solve the common challenges. Again, just a refresher on what we talked about: real-time visibility, time and costs, and errors and omissions. Those are the core challenges that customers have with permit to work or work permit systems, and they're all solved very easily using software. And our system is set up perfectly to handle this. So with that, I'll hand it off to the group that's watching to ask any questions. And if you don't have any questions, thank you very much for joining, and we'll send through a recording of this for you to have and share.